Now, how do I see it in my own system? I did download it. How do I see it in my own system? I can say Docker images. So I'm just to list all the images I have. Okay, right now I have only one. Now I want to execute this application. So I need to say Docker run and then give it the name of the image. Now the image is not what actually gets executed. What gets executed is an instance or a copy of that image that we call, that's the actual container. Okay. Now, when we execute it, this is what happens. It's just the application is just prints this message that says, okay, now you just tested your Docker runtime engine, and this suggests that you can probably start by testing the Ubuntu container, a container that has the operating system Ubuntu. Okay. Now, when I say Docker images, it shows me all the images I have. Now, can I see the containers I have? Yes, I can with the command ps. So ps for process, this is supposed to list all the processes that are running. Now, it's empty because there is nothing running right now. The container just executed the code and then terminated. Okay, but I can still see its entry when I say -a, which is short for all. So all the processes, even the ones that are terminated. Okay, so that will show me the container that just executed and terminated. So it was based on the hello world image. And the command is just a small script that prints that text that we've seen. This is the command that it was executed. And once this command ended, printed the image, that container terminated. Okay, now let's try to have this Ubuntu like container that they mentioned. Well, I can pull it and then run it, or I can try to run it right away. And if it doesn't exist in my local system, it will pull automatically. Okay, so if I say Docker run Ubuntu is a Linux-based operating system. Okay, so if I try to say that, first of all, it will look into the images I have. It's not gonna find it, then it will pull it automatically from Docker Hub. Okay, now was it executed? No, I said run, right? My command was run. Now, if I say Docker ps-a, I will see that it did actually execute, but we didn't see anything. Why is that? Because the only purpose for the operating system that is inside the container is to execute the command, whatever command that we have. Once the command executed, the operating system terminates and the entire container terminates. Now we have a container that doesn't have any commands, it only has the operating system. So it's just running, didn't do anything. It ran and it terminated right away because there was no commands. Okay, now I can run it and give it a command to execute. Okay, so I can run, and then there is a command called sleep that is an application that's already part of the operating system that just keeps waiting. Now, if I say sleep for 15, let's say 5 seconds, okay, now it will keep running the application while holding the terminal. So now I can't do anything in this terminal. I can open another terminal and try to do it, but as long as this command is running, I don't have access to my terminal. Okay, now if I want my container to run in the background, I can do that if I specify the -d option here. So run -d means detached, means it runs in the background. So I'm gonna write it for 15 seconds so that we can list it and see how does it look like when it's running. Okay, now this is the ID of the container. Okay, it's running in the background. Now if I say Docker ps, so I will see that there's something running. All right, so that is my Docker Ubuntu image. I mean, the container that was based on this image running in the background until eventually it terminates, and then it will not appear in the processes anymore. Okay. So that's just a basic operating system. We send a command while we are running it through the Docker engine, right? Now, what if we want to create our own container? So I'm gonna go there and say, and create a directory for my container. So let me give you some heads up on what I'm planning to do. So in order to build a container, you need to go inside your a directory, some directory that is your application, okay? And you need to create a file called Docker file with capital D and small f. And it's supposed to be a plain text file without any extensions, okay? And this Docker file would contain all the instructions you need in order to build your container image. Okay, so right now we're gonna start with an empty directory. So my entire application is just a Ubuntu with a simple command. Okay, so I call it hello from me 2024. Okay, so I will create a plain text file. Okay, so Docker file. And inside that, I need to specify my commands or instructions that I need to give to the Docker engine to build the image. Okay, now how do I know the commands? There is a reference for all the commands. If you go to Google and search for Docker file commands or command reference, it will take you to this reference documentation, and it shows you all the commands that you can put in a Docker file and explanations with examples and all that. All right, so the first command must be from, so that specifies the base container. So any container must start with a base container. And the base container could be just the simple operating system that we just saw. So I'm gonna have my base container, the Ubuntu image. Okay. And then I can have CMD, which is short for command. That's just to run something. Okay, so I'm not gonna have anything in between. I just have the operating system and then this command executed on it when I try to run the container. So my command is just to echo hello from China. So when we try to test it, you can put your name, and you can, when you push it, you can ask your friends to install it and get the message from you. Okay, so this is the instructions I want for this container. Okay, I can always cd into the directory, or I just find it simpler if I open it that terminal here. Okay, so this is what I want inside my container. So here I will just ask, so I say Docker build, and now I need to specify the name of the image that is going to be created. Now I'm going to use the term tag again. So if I say build --tag, and then give it the name, you see the word tag is used to mean slightly different things in this context, 3 different things. The first thing is that's just the version that appears after the column that we saw. Second thing is just like a label to the entire image. Okay, so let's say I'm gonna call it hello from me 2024. So I'm not gonna specify the tag that is the version, so it's gonna be latest. And then the last thing, I need to tell it where to find the files, including the Docker file. Okay, so I am right inside the directory where the Docker file is, so dot, which means the current directory is sufficient. If it's in another place, then I can specify the other place. All right. So now it will open the Docker file, execute the steps specified there, which is only one step, and then like the second is just a command that will run whenever we want to execute it. Now see how the default registry was set to Docker Hub and then the library and then hello world from me. Now this is not right. I have to change that. If I try to write it to Docker Hub, it will give me, it would not allow me because I can't actually write there. But because I didn't specify a repository, it used the library as a default repository. Okay, now I can run it. If I want to see it, so if I say Docker images, I will see it right here. All right. Now, if I try to push it, I should be pushing it into my account. Okay, so I would need to log into my account. So from the command line, I can use the Docker login and then -u for username, -p for password. And then after that, I can push it. Now I want to show you if I try to push it with the library as the repository, how is it gonna look like? So I'm gonna say Docker first login. So -u is my account, my username, and -p is the password. This is a test. This is my password that I set on there. Now I'm logged in. I can say Docker push and then give it the name of the image. Now I didn't specify anything. So latest will be the default tag. Docker IO would be default repository and default registry. Library would be the default repository. Now if I try to write, it should not allow me to write on the library. Denied. I cannot write on the library. Okay, so what do I need to do? When I create the tag of my image, I have to specify the repository that is my account name. Okay, so if I want to write my account name, now when I create an account on Docker Hub, here is it? Here. So if you go to repositories, then the home repository is my account name. So that should be specified instead of library. Now, how do I do that? Now there is another use of the word tag, which is to create a label, another label to the same image. Okay, so Docker image. Now that allow me to do something to an image. What is it that I want to do? I want to change, or I want to create a tag. Okay, so I want to tag this image, which means I want to create another label to this image that has the proper repository here. Okay, now if I list the images again, now you can see it's the same ID here. Both of them have the same ID. So it's one image, but it has two labels. One of them is this and the other is that. Now I can also specify a different version if I want to. So here I can say instead of latest, I can specify, let's say V1. So now I added another label that has another version, another tag, like another version. Now you see it's all of them are the same image, but one of them doesn't have the latest as a tag. Okay,